the DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Thursday, December 29th, 2022. Just 2 days, 2 days left till 2023, getting ready, getting giddy for Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, the Final Four, TCU and Michigan, and of course the big game, Ohio State and Georgia. That number still hasn't moved. I know everyone talking about ticket counts, money, and why hasn't that line moved off to 6.5? I don't know. Maybe Vegas knows something that we don't. But it's been a while since we caught up with Southside Riley. We're here for today to get you ready for the rest of the day. There's a bowl game coming up in an hour. There's a big slate in college hoops. There's some NBA. There's a little NHL. And then tomorrow, I think me and Riley will circle back the wagons and we'll get a Big Ten review for the rest of 2022, for the weekend. I assume he'll have a lot of talk about Michigan and Ohio State in those two bowl games and what he expects. But hoping he had a great holiday. I know he did because we just talked for an hour beforehand. So without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What's happening, Riley?
Good afternoon, my friend. You threw me a curveball, or good morning, good afternoon, depending on where we are in the time zone. But I am doing great, my friend. Hope everyone had a happy holiday season. Haven't been on camera in a week or so. So hope everyone had a great holiday season, avoided all these storms and nasty weather wherever you were, and hopefully you didn't have to deal with it. But I am fantastic. Doing a bit better. The only thing you and I didn't talk about before the show is my Green Bay Packers, who are hanging on to some life, and a little more so than they were a few weeks ago. So feeling good. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second. Plenty of other NFL news going on, but obviously we've got some bowl games today. 3, I believe, that are definitely worth talking about. So excited to see what you're thinking there. And then some college basketball, NBA, all the same. So I am ready to rock and roll, my friend. Happy to be back this week and ready to get rolling into a huge weekend going into 2023. I can't wait for these games on Saturday.
Let's talk about the Packers. I mean, we talked a handful of weeks ago. Bye week coming up, not officially out, and you win a few games, you get the momentum. You've had every break that could go right has gone right. Now you're sitting back 2 home games, basically winning, you're in, correct?
We need just a little bit more help. We need either Washington to lose one of these last 2 here, so we're huge Browns fans this weekend. And that one is before our game, the Packers game. That's in the afternoon. Washington and Cleveland is the noon game. But, yeah, you're getting Carson Wentz instead of Taylor Heineke there. So interested to see how that one goes. And that's the biggest one. That's the biggest ticket to getting us in. If Washington loses, then we either need them to lose the following week, which I believe is against Dallas, which hopefully they're playing for something, or need the Giants to lose to, which they've got Colts this week, which is a losable game, and then I think they've got Philly the weekend after that. So if we're huge Washington or Cleveland fans. So if Washington wins and beats Cleveland, then nothing's set in stone. We're still in a little bit of trouble and need some help that final week. But I've got some optimism as far as us getting the help we need there. And then this game this past weekend was the tough one that was keeping me away from being over the top optimistic. So here I am feeling pretty damn optimistic that the Packers can get a couple wins here. Aaron Rodgers has only gotten swept by division opponents twice in his career. One, I think, was 2009, the Brett Favre Minnesota team, and then the Mike McCarthy getting fired year to the Lions. So I've seen this movie before as far as the Packers having some huge games against the Vikings, Lions, NFC North opponents, and it's gone pretty well for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So I'm definitely going to have some optimism. Some injury news this week that we're paying attention to with Christian Watson. That if he's out, that's a tough blow for us. But I'm hearing he's limited in practice. Our new MVP, Keyshawn Nixon, our kick returner, I think he's limited in practice, and obviously we'll still be okay if he's not there. But, I mean, the spark he's given us has been unreal. And something that we're not used to as Packers fans in a really long time. So that's been awesome. And then some other offensive line news has been positive. So going to be feeling optimistic, hoping the Vikings are, resting on their laurels and snoozing a little bit this weekend. Otherwise, obviously a lot of people are calling them the F words anyways. So as long as we're playing our best football this weekend, the Packers, I'm feeling good about it. And unfortunately rooting for a certain someone who I don't want to root for, but we're rooting for the old Cleveland Browns this weekend as well. So we'll be, I'm interested to see how things or what our conversations are on Monday, Tuesday outside of this weekend of football.
Yeah, I like your position, and that was right. You needed one of two losses from Washington. I think, unfortunately, with Week 17, Dallas has nothing to play for, basically. They're going to end up most likely heading to Tampa to face Tom there. The Eagles, they need one more win or a Minnesota loss, which you don't want to take to, it'd be nice for the Eagles to win today, and then they're going to rest everyone that last week. And
so if we don't get that Washington win, the Cowboys can still catch so if the Cowboys win tonight, but we're asking for the Eagles to lose to the Saints, and then those two games, the Cowboys and Eagles are still battling, and if the Eagles win, that's what they got to do to win the division. If the Eagles lose, and the Cowboys are still getting a chance, but that's obviously the Eagles losing to the Saints is not out of the question, but obviously a tall order. So Washington losing to Cleveland is our easiest ticket here.
I was just trying to look here. I tell you what, Saints and Philly, I had a 44 with the 7. The line's down to 5.5. I'm just going to go on record. And again, I don't know. I'm not tuned in. I will have Dan Alexander tomorrow at 2:30. We'll talk some Philly Eagles. I'm just saying that number at 5.5, that's telling me Jalen Hurts isn't playing.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. And that Saints team is obviously one of the weirder teams to try to decipher what's going to happen. But if they're motivated and their defense is playing well against Gardner Minshew, just about anything can happen. So, like I said, the easiest ticket is Washington losing to Cleveland. But if they obviously Washington could take care of Cleveland, and then we're hoping for some other stuff. So we will be rooting for the old Saints to take down the Eagles. Obviously, need the Cowboys to win tonight, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a second against old Josh Dobbs instead of Malik Willis. But I like our chances. At the end of the day, I like our chances. A couple weeks ago, I think we were 8-1 to make the playoffs. I checked yesterday. Plus 186, I think, is what we're at, and Washington's like plus 156 or something like that. So, the optimism levels are certainly high over here.
Yeah, and the NFL just doing what the NFL does, keeping everyone involved. And you just, I was shaking my head. It's bad. Listen, Tom Brady, excuse my French here, looked like ass again last week, and they just find a way to win. You can't get Tom out. You can't get Aaron Rodgers out. And I do remember, I am old. And I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I do remember that the only Super Bowl victory and appearance by Aaron Rodgers is when they went on the road and won 3 straight road games, correct?
That is very correct. They also had to win their final 2 games of the season to get into the dance. Obviously, in that scenario, I think they lost. I think they lost to New England with Matt Flynn, and then they won their final 2. I actually, my favorite game I've ever been to. It was basically a playoff game, Packers-Giants at Lambeau. We had 2 weeks left, and they had to beat the Giants and beat the Bears, and then they went on the road to Philly and Mike Vick through Atlanta. And aside from the team that lost in the Super Bowl, Atlanta's best team that they've had in the last decade. That team was really, really good, and then went on the road against the Bears that year, who had a pretty solid team, and then obviously took down the Steelers in the Super Bowl. So yes, if the chips fall right, we're hoping that we get to play the Vikings in round 1. And then who knows after that. We're hoping if, the 49ers are obviously the Packers' kryptonite, but maybe the jury's out on Brock Purdy by the time we meet them, and he's still going, and we can cause some havoc there. But last thing I'll say about the Packers, the way obviously, now the question is, is it all because of Tua and his head issues in the second half there? But the defense, obviously, the secondary, kind of flipped the switch there. It was in the right place at the right time a couple times. The final play, the clincher, Rasul Douglas made a great play. So those guys, the Packers secondary, in my opinion, is really what the ticket to how far they can go, at least from a defensive standpoint. Because make no mistake about it, the first half of that Dolphins game was pretty horrendous. And then obviously they flipped the script and took advantage of Tua and what he was dealing with there. But that's going to be a huge issue if the Packers are looking like their secondary is looking like they've looked at times. That it's going to be ugly against if we match up with the Eagles or the Niners or something like that. So. Optimism levels are decent, but we still are not ignoring what we've seen through a lot of points of the season this year. So, hoping that we're firing on all cylinders on both sides of the ball at the right times here.
And if I remember correctly, that first road game wasn't that 51-50, that stupid game against Arizona when you scored a million.
No, that was the year before. The Packers actually
Okay.
lost that one. That was Rodgers' first playoff game.
Okay.
The Cardinals got him that one.
All right. Kind of comical. The NFL game tonight, Dallas at Tennessee. I had a 9 with a 43. It's now up to 13.5. As we were talking behind the studio walls here, Joshua Dobbs, not Malik Willis, will be starting. I've seen this so many times. This number's just going to keep going up, up, and up. Tennessee sitting 9-10 people. It's the JV squad. Because this game is meaningless. If they beat the Jags next week, they'll be in. So, this number, no one's going to stop betting Dallas. You're going to bet them first quarter, second quarter. You're going to bet them team total over. You're going to everything, and you're not going to bet a cent on Tennessee. I have nothing for this game. I think it's comical. Dallas going to get in, get out, try not to get people hurt, as they are just getting ready to take next week off to get ready to face the Tampa. I don't know if you got any tidbits on tonight's NFL game.
No, I'm with you. Tony Pollard, the only thing you didn't mention, Tony Pollard within the last 20, 30 minutes was ruled out of this game. So maybe if you're doing anything, you bet on a nice Ezekiel Elliott game. I don't know. That if I'm doing anything, maybe that's what I would do. I think he's almost minus 200 to score a touchdown though. So you got to go into 2 touchdown scores or only over 72.5, which without Tony Pollard seems a little too good to be true. But maybe if I'm doing anything, that's where I'm going. But no, I'm with you. Because at Dallas, I would imagine they're still motivated, like we talked about. They still have a chance at the division if they win and the Eagles lose, and then. You need to win, and then the Eagles to lose the final week. But maybe they're telling themselves that they still got a chance. But I'm staying clear and far away from this one. I'll probably be paying a lot more attention to college football and college basketball tonight for the first time on a Thursday night, if you ask me here.
I would, if anyone looking for any props, listen, Dalton Schultz hasn't scored in forever. I know that's probably the chalk. I would be looking outside the maybe try to get into that second half, mop duty to Noah Brown or a Michael Gallup or someone of that on the Dallas side. I don't know what the numbers are on Noah Brown, for instance.
Yeah, I don't. Plus 360 for Brown, 270 for Michael Gallup there. I don't dislike that at all.
And on the Tennessee side, OMG. Let me see. I'm not. Who's that tight end that you talk about? Is he playing?
Austin Hooper?
No. Oh, Austin Hooper might come back. The other guy. The Oshawana.
I think I don't. I'm drawing a blank on the name. I don't think it was me that was talking about him. That's
Owanakuna.
Okongwu?
Yeah.
22.5 on the yards. Let's see here. 650 plus 650 on the touchdown score there.
There you go. There's my Tennessee side.
All right. I'll go. Shoot, I'll go Dallas defense up against old Josh Dobbs here. Maybe they get to something in the end zone there. And how about a little T.Y. Hilton action? He popped onto the scene a little bit last week, and everyone's like, "Who? T.Y. who? T.Y. Hilton? Okay." Maybe he has 2 targets for 0 catches tonight also. But like I said, I've got nothing on this game. I'm not actually. This is one where I'm not even really considering what I'm saying right now. But yeah, who knows? Maybe T.Y. Hilton gets in the end zone there. 550. I would have expected a little steeper odds than that. Maybe he gets in the garbage time there.
Bowl game, 2:00, rotation number 253, 254. Your Minnesota Golden Gophers facing Syracuse. I had a Minnesota at 7.5 with a 41.5. It is now 10.5, and I'll use the consensus 44.5. Syracuse, Tanner Morgan questionable for Minnesota. I don't have an injury report for Minnesota. For Syracuse, excuse me. That number is so inflated. Now it's circa 11. These bowl, something. I love the bowl games. I love the bowl game season. I just hate now what they've become between the transfer portal, people sitting out because they don't want to get hurt. They're getting ready for the NFL draft. Coaches moving. It's just a shit show. It's a money grab. Listen, Syracuse plus 11. If this game was on a neutral site in September, October, November, that line is so far off. It's not even funny. Vegas seems to think that they're going to mail it in. Let me just go over to here for 1 second, and I'll pull this up just for poops and giggles.
Well, I do know as far as this is a good case of what you're talking about. I know Syracuse lost their OC and their DC. Sean Tucker, their running back, opted out of this game. And then I don't know what else you got outside of that. But, the interesting, a guy that is not opting out that I think could be trying to make a statement, and a guy that I've talked about all season long, I might be outside of Minnesota fans themselves, I might be the biggest Mo Ibrahim fan in the damn world. But his over-under today, Jeff, is 134.5 rushing yards, minus 1,000 to score a touchdown. Minus 135 for 2 touchdowns. I think this dude could go for 200 today. This is him not opting out is a kind of a clear. I want to rise my draft, my NFL Pro stock today, and even without opt-outs, I think this would be a fantastic matchup for him. But Syracuse I don't have the names off the top of my head or right in front of me, but I know they've got some opt-outs on defense that a bad rushing defense could be even worse. So. As far as Syracuse offense against this Minnesota defense, that's kind of a question mark for me. But I think Mo Ibrahim could be making a gigantic statement today. So I don't have anything yet. The 134.5 for how much I've talked about him. I might have to put my money where my mouth is with that one. But I've got all the confidence in the world that Mo Ibrahim is going to show out today.
Minnesota team total on Wager Talk right now, 24.5 over minus 165. I'm shocked that's not at 26 or 27. Syracuse team total over 14.5 over minus 120. So right away, I'm not going to lay a 165. If that was a 28.5, I might lean there, or 27. So just from those numbers, if you're looking for even money, I would take the Syracuse team total under 14.5 at plus 100.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of confidence in Minnesota's offense, but like I said, it could be sucking the life out of this clock, and they might dominate this game, but might land on exactly 24, 27 or something like that, and you still feel like they dominated the game, but don't get you your team total for Minnesota there. So I hesitated on that one for sure there, and as far as like I said, the question mark for me is Syracuse offense against Syracuse defense. Without the running back, Minnesota's defense is even with him, it would have been a good rushing. That would have been a good matchup. But now you take him out. They don't have a ton of experience in the backfield, so they're not going to be able to run the ball. But Minnesota's pass defense isn't very good. So I'm interested to see what Garrett Schrader does. Either he has a good game and this is a close one, or I kind of agree. I think this could be ugly and he might have a turnover or two and. Struggles to move the ball a bit here because I feel pretty strongly that Minnesota's fairly well motivated for this game. That's obviously a huge question to answer when you're looking at these bowl games. Not to say that Syracuse isn't, but it's just some key guys that are lacking out of this game for them that would have made this game probably within a touchdown game if you ask me. But now I could see this one landing on exactly 10, but I honestly am leaning towards maybe a 24-10 or 27-10 type win for Minnesota here.
5:30, rotation number 255, 256, Oklahoma, Florida State. Initially a 62.5 for the 7, and more inflated numbers. 65.5 now is your under over, and Florida State now minus 10. No information there. Team totals. Oklahoma 27.5 under -120. Florida State team total 37 over -130.
Sheesh. You can help me out with this one if you've got something strong. I mean, Oklahoma's running back is out of this one. That hurts, but they've got a backup running back, freshman Javante Barnes. That unlike the Syracuse situation where their running backs out don't have a ton of experience, Barnes obviously a freshman, but he had some nice flashes to where I could see him having a really nice day. So if you think this is a statement and Florida State is going to cruise to a victory and Oklahoma's defense is going to continue to look bad, please let me know. I just was not that impressed with, obviously, Oklahoma. You could say the same thing about them. So if the answer is that their defense is that bad and Florida State's offense is going to be rolling, then please go ahead. I was not impressed as much with Florida State this year, despite the 9-3 record. I'm not trying to trash them. They had a nice season, but they really picked off all of the bad teams in the ACC and lost to the three good teams in the ACC or three of the four top teams or so. So I'm not betting on Florida State because I don't really believe in them to that level. But again, Oklahoma's defense could be horrendous, and Florida State wouldn't surprise me if Florida State put up 45. So I was kind of interested. Javante Barnes, the guy that I'm talking about, 77.5 rushing yards to the over is, I think, what I'm going for today for Oklahoma, and that's I'm taking that and jumping out of it with this one.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to bring to the table here. They're not giving me any good leads here. Oklahoma 27.5 under -120, maybe plus money for them to get to 28, 29, 30.
Yeah.
Florida State 37. That's a huge statement there. That is a huge statement. And they also -130 to boot. If it was even money, all right, man. But again, I can't go anywhere with this game.
No, and I think I'm legitimately interested in the Javante Barnes over. He had 100 yards rushing against TCU. I think 18 carries, 100 yards. No Bijan, that's the other game. Sorry. So he's going to be with Eric Gray out. He's going to be the guy. So I'm interested in the 77.5. And obviously, maybe not every book offers college player props, but on some public books, I saw some action there. So I think I'm going to go to Javante Barnes over on the rushing total here.
9 o'clock, rotation number 257, 258. As we speak, the under-over has dropped to 66. My initial numbers were 4.5 with a 65. Team totals, Washington 31.5, juiced over -120. Texas 36, juiced under -140. On paper, in form, this would have been an over for me all day. I loved what Texas did. Washington's defense wasn't the greatest, but they could score with anyone. Now I'm starting to wonder what the hell's going on here. Initial eyes would tell me, good Lord, I'm telling you what, I'm being 100% transparent and honest here. I am priced out of everything so far today in the college bowls.
This one is tough for me. This one is almost like you're gambling on who's motivated or not, in my opinion. Here, Texas has got some key opt-outs, but you still got Quinn Ewers in the game and their receiving options. No Bijan Robinson, but I think their offense still could have enough talent there to make things happen. It's just for me. It's just, is Texas motivated? I honestly, gun to my head, I think this could be a Texas lack of motivation type situation here, whereas Washington just feels like that program that will treat this like another game that they're trying to make a statement on, but not enough confidence to get me all the way in it for sure. This one is of the three, this is the one where I have it wouldn't shock me if Texas puts up 40 points. It wouldn't shock me if they put up 20 points. I have no idea. The motivation factor for me is keeping me out of this one. I really don't know.
The question I have to you, and don't quote me on this, but I thought I read a few weeks ago that Manning is signed and going to Texas. And
go ahead, sorry.
And if that's the case, his nil money is stupid. So,
oh gosh,
this Ewers kid is not sticking and staying. There's no way in hell he's going to hold a clipboard to Manning, is he?
I honestly don't know that the ins and outs of that situation. That's a fantastic question. So, I I don't think so. Maybe unless you're thinking Manning waits a year and then takes the reins. I don't know, because Quinn Ewers is obviously talented and he could garner get some more NIL money himself somewhere else as well. With a nice, pretty penny. So I don't know. I need to be more educated on that situation to give my opinion. But maybe you think Manning waits a year and is maybe needs a little prove it a little bit despite his name. I don't know. Honestly, I know the kid's good, obviously, but is he start day one as a freshman good? Maybe he is. Maybe he is. I honestly don't know.
All right. We're going to be back tomorrow. Obviously, we're going to do some bowls. We're going to do some Big Ten. Let's tiptoe through the tulips to some college hoops today. Big slate, not a lot of marquee games. Hats off to UConn last night. They won. They didn't cover it. Everyone that grabbed Villanova plus 12.5. God bless you. I thought that number was high myself.
Yeah.
UConn goes to 14-0, 3-0 in the Big East. Travel to Xavier on New Year's Eve. Then they travel, I think, on Wednesday to Providence, and then they come home and host Creighton, and then they tiptoe to Marquette. So I talked to you. I says maybe that Marquette game at Marquette will be their first loss there. But full slate today. I'm just trying to – Providence at Butler is a Big East game. I'm trying to see some other – Iowa, Nebraska, and okay, well, there you go. There's the stench of the day. Iowa's a 3.5 at a 148, now 4.5, 4. I know you'll dig in there, but I'm going to throw the College Board over to you.
Sure. No, and just you mentioned UConn. Illinois drops out of the AP rankings, I know, as far as my fandom is concerned. They've got should be a cupcake tonight. Got the doors beat off of them by Missouri. You had the over correctly in that one. But, ugly showing from them. They obviously need a bounce back. I've still got a lot of faith in them. A lot of Big Ten games today, but a lot of cupcakes aside from that Iowa-Nebraska game. Go ahead, though.
This Missouri team's not getting enough ink here. They boat raced Patino in Kentucky last night.
I know. I was interested to see how that game ended up turning out. And Kentucky obviously has been a little goofy themselves, but I would have expected one type of slip up between Illinois and Kentucky. Those two games were for Missouri, and obviously they came out scorched. They couldn't miss to save their lives on against Illinois though. So I would expect some regression, but no, I think they still only have the one loss, right? So they absolutely need some more love here, 100% there.
We did have the over in that game as well last night. We closed that one at 148, and I think they got into the 160s. Nip and tuck in the first couple minutes, and then blink of an eye, 17-7 Missouri. They can shoot. They can shoot.
They can. And, Illinois, it seemed a little shell-shocked in that one. So they, that honestly, that's the type of game, though. It was a good atmosphere. You honestly, as you want to win those type of bragging rights games, but as far as preparing yourself for Big Ten basketball, I mean that's not a bad game to get your get your butt smacked around it. And so hopefully they come back with some statements here coming up. But that Iowa-Nebraska game, Iowa coming off the heels of the loss to Eastern Illinois. On FanDuel back down to 3.5 over most other places. I think still 4.5 there. So that one stinks to me. I'm going to stay away from it because they typically handle Nebraska well. Coming off of that loss, you would expect them to be pretty damn pissed off. But I would not be. I would be lying if I said that one didn't stink to high hell, my friend. What can you make of that from your perspective?
Well, the one thing is Iowa hasn't lost two in a row. They lost to TCU. They beat Georgia Tech. They lost to Duke. They beat Iowa State. They lose to Wisconsin. They beat Southeast Missouri State. You can't lose to Eastern Illinois, guys. I mean, you were 31-point favorites, and you lost. And not just lost, you gave up 92 points. You've had 8 days to sit in your shit and say, what the hell happened? And Vegas being cute, throws a 3.5. The public's going to jump to it. 149, 150. Ken Palm's got it 75-73. Iowa. Listen, I was born at night, not last night. This is a Nebraska number all day long.
Yeah, and they put up 75 last week against Queens. But aside from that, their offense is down. So, Yeah, maybe they're shooting the lights out tonight against Iowa, or Iowa can't hit the broadside of a barn. I don't know, but it absolutely stinks to me. Flipping that onto this, if you want to say this one's just too ugly, don't even look at it. Eastern Illinois, on the other hand, is coming off of that win against Iowa and is playing good old Lindenwood, 352 per Ken Palm. Eastern Illinois 347, and I think Eastern was. Let's see. Let me double check what the line was. Anyways, they were 3 or 4 point favorites. Is that feeling like they should be dropping one after the big win against Iowa?
I had a four with a 141.5. It's now 138 with a 4.5/5. Let me see what our buddy has today for this one. This one's going to be way down there. There it is. Eastern Illinois 72.68. He's got it landing at 140. Listen, it's a Lindenwood number or nothing. I mean, you're 31 point dogs to Iowa. You shocked the world. Now you're playing the 352nd ranked team. For me, it's Linwood or nothing.
Yeah, and before Eastern won that game, they were, I think, bottom 5 per Ken Palm, and now they've obviously jumped up because of that win. So yeah, they were ranked lower than Lindenwood before that win there. So I just wanted to bring those back to back there to see how you felt about. And I saw on the tracker, the public book, I was looking at the tractor. It was like 80-90% of bets all over Eastern Illinois, obviously, on that one. So. Yeah, that one, steer clear away. Steer clear from the Panthers on that one. The Lindenwood Lions might be a decent look there. But back to that Providence and Butler game. Let's see here. Let me pull that one up for me. Down to 2.5 on FanDuel, it looks like. +3 for Providence. That one feel like a I don't know. I just don't know what the feelings of these teams are. I don't trust Butler very much, but I feel like the public, at least when Butler's at home, trusts them a little bit here. Which way were you leaning with this one?
Well, you got a Providence team now who's 10-3. Their 3 losses: Miami of Florida in Game 4, St. Louis in Game 5. They then beat Merrimack and Columbia. They lose to a good TCU team, and now they've beaten Rhode Island, Manhattan, Albany, Seton Hall on Tuesday. Double overtime, 103-98 against Marquette. We've been waiting for this Butler team who comes in 8-5. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost by 22 to UConn. They lost by 22 as well to Creighton. Last year, Providence was the Cinderella. Anyone watching and listening that wants to scratch an itch here, I assume this is on Fox tonight at 6:30. I tiptoe over to the Butler money line. I don't want to leave any points on this game. Providence finds a way. If you're going to put a full unit on the money line, maybe do a half on Butler first half as well to see which team shows up. Been very inconsistent. Listen, they played the iron with Connecticut and Creighton. Really weren't in either one of those games. They got a home game today against Providence. They're supposed to win at Georgetown, and then they'll come back home to DePaul. So this is kind of the get fat these next 3 games. Slight lean to the Butler did it in the kitchen with the candlestick.
All right. No, that's what I was thinking, especially with Providence on this win streak. People are thinking they're back to what they were last year. And yeah, it was checking that box of what do people think of this Butler team was really my question to answer for this one. So no, I'm with you. That's definitely where I was leaning as well. Let's stick in the Big East. The only 2 games in the Big East. Georgetown and DePaul. DePaul had some success early. They've lost a handful now in a row, or 3 in a row. It's dropped a decent amount lately. Lost to Duquesne, lost to Northwestern by almost 40, lost to Creighton by 15 on Christmas. But Georgetown obviously not playing well themselves, but they can score. What were you feeling like this was any way to go with this one, or is this a big stay away here?
2 teams, 2 Jekyll and Hyde teams. You just don't know which team you're going to get here. And let me just try to pull it up. I know I probably went by it, of course. See what Ken Palm has to say here. Come on. There it is. DePaul 80-74, 125 versus 167. A Georgetown team lost to Syracuse by 19, lose to Xavier by 13, 102-89 there, lose to UConn by 11. 154. What do we got over here for a number here initially? I had a 153 with a 5. Now you're seeing some Georgetown money, 153 and a half. Gun to my head. And again, DePaul's lost 3 in a row. Duquesne, Northwestern, and Creighton. DePaul wins and doesn't cover. How's that sound?
Okay. No, I like that. I wouldn't trust. Yeah, I just don't trust these. I was looking. I like to half the time I totally forget until the day of. They're almost paying me to go to this game, Jeff. I could go to this game for a crisp $6 to get into a decent seat for $6 for Georgetown and DePaul here. A quick little train ride, and I'm there for under $10 total. How about that?
Hey, jump on in. The tea is warm. How's that?
Yeah. Hey, maybe I've got to do a doubleheader here one of these days. I guess today would have been the day. Northwestern right now, and then DePaul. If I was going to do a doubleheader for these two, today would have been the day. So I slept on that one. But no, I kind of with you. I was thinking Georgetown was the way to go, but I'm not going to look you in the face and say I'm trusting Georgetown right now the way they're playing. So the way they've been playing the last few years. So. A couple of years. So I'm out on that one for sure. How about, there was a ton of games today, so I'm sure my radar slipped past something if you had something. There was one other stinker that I saw a huge public buy into and big difference in records that might lend into something here. Merrimack and Fairleigh Dickinson. Merrimack 348 per KenPom. Fairleigh Dickinson 332. Merrimack is 2-10 or 2-12 or something along those lines, whereas Fairleigh Dickinson's closer to 500. So and it's a short line, and all the public buy-in that I saw was on Fairleigh Dickinson. Any interest in Merrimack to take care of business against Fairleigh here tonight?
I had a 4.5 with a 136.5. I'm going to get you a 2 with a 135. Let's see what our buddy has to say here. That way the hell down here.
I got the 2 stinkers of all stinkers tonight throwing at you.
Oh, you're throwing some good ones here. Where the hell is Merrimack? There we are. He's got Fairleigh Dickinson 72-66 here. Okay. Fairleigh Dickinson lost 2 in a row to Richmond and Queens. Before then, had beaten St. Joe's, Columbia, and NJIT 6-8. In comes Merrimack at 2-12. Their only wins are both against non-ranked teams, Clark and New England. They're coming off back-to-back losses to Maine by 3, Bucknell by 6. 2 okay teams. They had lost to San Fran, who's really good, who's got a good game tonight at Santa Clara. By 18, they lost to UVM. You know what? Good eyes there. I would be in on Merrimack today.
No, like I told you, I've had some success with those huge public buy-ins when there's a team that's 2-12 or whatever the hell, 0-10, 1 whatever. Against a team that's got a steady or so record or something along those lines. So that one was a stinker that I was interested for sure. And I think Merrimack in this matchup alone the last couple of years has got 5 straight against Fairleigh Dickinson. So maybe they've got their number type situation there. So any other college games tonight? Maybe the underrated game of the day or potentially even the game of the day. You mentioned it, that San Francisco-Santa Clara game. Any lean in that one? I believe that's an actual home game for Santa Clara, right?
Yes, I had a 1.5 with a 149, 2.5s at Circa right now, a 3 with a 150. The Dons of San Fran have been very good to us the last few years. Right now, KenPom has Santa Clara at 101, San Fran at 86. He's got Santa Clara at 76, 74, right on 150. 3 losses, Utah State, UCF, and San Jose State. After the San Jose State loss, they've beaten Portland State, UC Irvine, California, and Boise State. Jesus, their AD is amazing here. Ready for this? they start the year 2 home games, then they go to Utah State and they lose by 22. They're on a neutral court against DePaul. They beat them by 8. Neutral court against UCF, and they lose by 7. Now, home against Menlo, neutral. They have not left the building since December 3rd. They played Sacramento State, New Mexico State, San Jose State, Portland State, UC Irvine, California, Boise, and they're playing San Fran tonight and then St. Mary's on Saturday.
Yeah.
So my San Fran team, let's take a look at them. 11-4, a loss on the road to Davidson, a semi-home loss to Utah State, who got us on Christmas Day to the Rats. They did beat Merrimack by 18, by the way. Neutral court to New Mexico, who is a steam wagon right now.
Yeah.
They won at UNLV. They lost to UT Arlington, but they beat Arizona State by 37 and Hartford by 32. They're clicking. They're cooking with Crisco. For me, it's the Dons or nothing. I think the line's spot on, but I like the Dons here. You could get a Santa Clara teams like, oh, shit. We got San Fran here on today, and then they get St. Mary's, who they're supposed to lose on Saturday by 5.
And then so maybe one to circle is they've got that road game against Pepperdine on the 5th. Maybe that one's the circle, and they've got Gonzaga at home following that one. So that one might be the one to a week from today keep an eye on as far as this fade spot of Santa Clara for sure. And I'm with you as far as tonight is concerned. But, yeah, one way or another, the way that he shakes out, maybe that one against next weekend against Pepperdine is an ugly one for him there.
Shout out to TJ if he's listening. Stonehill travels to Sacred Heart. I had a 4.5 with a 150, now a 5. TJ, maybe Stonehill can steal a win there. Pac-12, Colorado at Stanford. I had a Stanford with a 1.5, now a 2.5 with a 139. Utah at Cal, Utah 10. Utah playing better. Tulane at Cincinnati. I had a 5 with a 150.5. And now down to 4.5. Not that same old Kenyon Martin Cincinnati Bearcat team here. Tulane has been tricky here. Let me take a peek at that one. Ken Pobb's got it 79-73. Cincy comes in 9-4. Losses to Northern Kentucky, Arizona, Ohio State. Then they beat Louisville, NJIT, Bryant. They lost to Xavier by 3. They've been cooking with Crisco, Miami, Ohio, LaSalle, Detroit, Mercy. In comes Tulane. Win, lose. Lose to Nevada, beat URI. Lose to Western Kentucky, beat Louisiana Monroe. Lose to Fordham, beat Buffalo. Lose to George Mason, beat Mississippi Valley State. So if you believe in trends, Cincinnati's the side, I guess, but I think the number smells a little.
I'm with you, and it could be another one. Cincinnati at home, little kids on Christmas break. Could be a snooze fest in the building there tonight. So that one's interesting to me. I don't hate that Tulane side at all.
And they got Memphis on Sunday, so it could be a little peekaboo as well.
Okay, you've got me interested in that one. That one was one that slipped through my cracks for sure there. Let's see. Like I said, the Big Ten, the one game we talked about, Northwestern right now. Northwestern will pull away in the second half, but 2-point game right now. Northwestern, a couple minutes left in the first half there. Other than that, all these teams got almost 20, 30-point spreads. Maryland, you know what? UMBC, Maryland school, only 17.5-point dog. Is that one a little stinky right there?
Let me look at my actual numbers.
I don't know much about UMBC, so that's a total blind question, honestly.
Yeah, I know that team's got me in the past. Let's see if I can pull that one up for you. Do you have a rotation number there?
No, I don't. It's at 7 your time there.
7 o'clock. All right, that helps.
UMBC 227 per KenPom.
I got UMKC. Let me go over here for 1 second. I don't having an issue.
UMBC's kind of rolling right now, winning wise, so maybe that inflates it a little bit. I don't know, but Maryland, they just beat St. Peter's, but before that they had 3 losses in 3 good teams: Wisconsin, Tennessee, and UCLA. But they had some struggles there for a week or so there in the middle of December. So I don't know. Maybe I'll stay away, but that one at least looked a little fishy there.
This stiff armed me pretty good on that one. Hold on one second. UMBC. All right. 83-64. So at 147. So they got him at 19. Maryland, like you said, 3 out of the last 4 lost: Wisconsin, Tennessee, UCLA. 3 teams that will definitely be in the dance. There, they did beat St. Peter's by 30. UMBC comes in 9-4, lost Tulane, Princeton, UNC Greenville, Georgetown have now won 6 in a row. Could be a peekaboo spot because they got UVM on Sunday as well. How about Maryland wins, UMBC covers? How's that sound?
I'll take it. And did you UMBC has Vermont upcoming? That's what you were mentioning?
Yes, on Sunday.
Maryland's got Michigan on Sunday as well, so at Michigan. So I don't know. There you go. How about that? I'll take that.
Let me see what they got for that one. 50-50 coin flip, 74-73. Michigan.
That's a good one. Yeah, I know that's the Big Ten basketball. Friday, Saturday, nothing crazy, and then Sunday, that Maryland, Michigan, Iowa, Penn State, and Ohio State Northwestern. So 3 good ones on Sunday, but nothing else on. Well, I guess they're creating way for the old CFP on Saturday. So nothing crazy on Saturday there.
NBA, 6 games. Excuse me. The headliner, Cleveland at the Pacers. Clippers come to the Celtics. Knicks at Spurs. Houston against Dallas. Now that's a 10. I had 11.5 of the 223. It's now 225, 226 with a 10. I mean, just the initial thought process is what Dallas did to the Knicks in the last 30 seconds. What Luka did. I mean, that stat line was just Wilt Chamberlain-esque. So you would expect them maybe to lay an egg there. But again, the Clippers come into Boston. 6.5 for the 227.5, now 228 with a 6.5. Pacers are a little intriguing. Hosting Cleveland. Which Cleveland team's going to show up?
I know. That one was, Pacers interest me, but I'm going to stay away from it. Cleveland kind of has their number most of the time, and they're coming off a couple losses. But, that one was definitely interesting to me. The one that's really interesting, Memphis and Toronto. Still kind of monitoring injury reports there, but everyone in the world public believes in this Grizzlies team, Toronto team that I've mentioned as a team that I think is going to start rattling off some wins here. So I think they're kind of a live home dog there on the +3. Might take that +3 as opposed to the money line. Maybe a little. Maybe this is a really good game down to the last 30 seconds or so. But Raptors was one side that was interesting me. But you mentioned it, Luka. The way this week is going, maybe just blindly bet all the best players playing tonight to score 40 points. You had Giannis getting 40 and 20 last night in the United Center. DeRozan 40 points. Zion 40 points last night. Just blindly bet, Ja Morant, Jason Tatum, whoever else to hit 40. No, I'm mostly kidding, but it wouldn't surprise me. These stars are showing up now post-Christmas there. So Toronto was one that was interesting me. Kind of interesting, the Spurs. I've mentioned the Spurs as whenever they've got some lines that seem a little fishy, they've had some success. Kelton Johnson is in. That's one guy that scores for them. Knicks could be on a bounce. They've lost 4 in a row, and I still see a lot of public belief in the Knicks, though, against this obviously stinky Spurs team here. But, the bounce-back spot for the Knicks is what's going to keep me away from it, honestly. Bless you.
Thank you.
The bounce-back spot's keeping me away from it for the Knicks there, but did smell a little fishy there for the Spurs and Knicks line there. What were you thinking there?
No, I felt the same way. We're waiting again for the Knicks to bounce back. I guess my initial thought would be slip to the over, but again, I got no faith in either team right now.
I guess that what I failed to mention, they've got injury concerns. Brunson, I think, questionable. Same thing with R.J. Barrett. So I'm going to stay away from it, but it was a little goofy there. But let's see. Yeah, you mentioned it. Dallas -10 against Houston. Houston's been scrappy at times. Beat my Bulls, lose to your Celtics. Now who knows what's going to happen tonight. The other one, Charlotte -1 at home against a Thunder team that's playing pretty damn well, was interesting to me. I don't know if you would be interested in the Hornets, but had a lean to the Hornets on that one.
Oubre doubtful. Richards and Dennis Smith Jr. questionable. What really sticks out to me is I had a Charlotte one with a 240. Now, the only way that number can go is to 239 and a half, which it's at. To me, again, NBA All-Star game, get your popcorn, get your popcorns. Yeah. First one to 130 wins this game. I would initially take the over 239, 238 and a half.
All right, there you go. There's your my pick for a 40-point game tonight. I don't know how many days there's been a 40-point score in a row, but I'll go SGA. Shea gets to 40, and maybe LaMelo puts 30 and 10 and triple-double for LaMelo tonight. How about that?
Sounds good.
Aside from that, what were you feeling? I'll kick it over to you for that Celtics game. I've kind of lost my touch on the Celtics here a little bit. 3 wins in a row, though. 3 covers, looking solid this last week. Are you feeling good about this one against the Clippers?
I think Vegas is. I think that's a solid statement at 6.5 with a 228 right now. I had a 6.5 with a 227.5. That's a short number for the Celtics at home. But in the same token, that's a pretty big number for the Clippers. Now, right. Of course, when we talk Clippers, we must say, by the way, your Brown Northwestern has gone to half, 30-30. Second half numbers, DraftKings 8.5 with a 70.5. So obviously they don't have Northwestern covering this game. That is a statement, though. 70 and 60 is 130. I think we said the under-over was around, 128 to start the game. Yep. So they think it's going to tiptoe over. I still think it goes under. I think Brown slows down. I think you can find a 7.5 out there, and Northwestern wakes up in the second half. So I would lean under 70.5 second half, and I would lean if you can get a Northwestern -7 there. I got no injury updates. Who's playing for the Clippers? Who's not? Obviously, I would assume Paul George and Kawhi are both not playing, correct? Meaning one is. You got them both?
I've got them in this projected lineup here for the Clippers, George and Leonard, but that's about what the hell is that worth right now? 8 hours before game time or whatever the heck it is, 6 hours before game time. Who knows?
And just to tell you that people are listening in big places, when I give out the under 70.5, it immediately dropped to 68. So if you people don't think people are listening to these shows, you're lying. 68 now after I give out under 70.5. We're moving numbers, Riley. We're moving numbers.
I love it.
Listen, if you're going to give me Paul George, you're going to give me Kawhi Leonard, and you're going to give me 6.5, buy the hook to 7. I'm in all day on the Clippers.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But yeah, would it surprise me if one or both of them is out at some point here today? No, of course not. But no, it's interesting. Sometimes, like if they had a game up this weekend up against, a good Western Conference team, then I'd say, you know what, I bet they're going to be sitting the night off. But they've got I think a game in Indy this weekend, and then they've got one at home against Miami. So they got some Eastern Conference opponents. I mean, I think they could be firing with their guys tonight. Who knows? But, I'll stay away from it for now and monitor that injury report and an hour before game time to see if those guys are playing or not.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in the NHL. Shout out to my good friend, colleague, Anthony Pepe, who's in Arizona with the BC Eagles, traveling to the Coyotes Maple Leafs game tonight. If you're listening, Pepe, Toronto opened up -285 with a 6.5. We told you he asked for some props and stuff. I get Andrew McGinnis working on some props there. Obviously, we can't get you into the money line. Maybe we can get you into a regulation. Maybe we get you into a puck line. Maybe a first period. Who the hell knows? But we'll figure that out. From the eye test, let me see here. Any big time? Dallas at Minnesota is probably the best game on the board. I had a 5.5 with a 125 money coming in on the Stars. Now the under over's up to 6. Vancouver at the Jets should be a fun scoring game there. The Kings traveled to the Avalanche. Avalanche started to catch stride, had a road trip, now back home. We talked about the Leafs at the Yotes and Philly at San Jose. San Jose minus 154 there. So, closing thoughts, sir.
Closing thoughts. Well, we've got some stuff cooking up at this weekend. It sounds like. So, yeah, don't go too crazy today and spoil yourself on the weekend action in the college football playoff, and obviously a couple other big bowls. As far as I'm drawing a blank on what the other New Year's Eve bowl is going to be, as far as big bowl. But I know the Rose Bowl after that on. Past New Year's Day. So obviously some big events coming up. So don't. There's some spots to get into. It sounds like tonight, and looks like tonight across the board. But yeah, play it smart, and you don't want to be chasing coming into these huge events. Obviously, if you're playing it, you'd like to be playing with a little house money going into those fun events that obviously everyone likes to jump into. So. Yeah, we'll be breaking down a lot of stuff tomorrow. Stay tuned. Yeah, I've got no Bulls or Packers blogs obviously today. Finally back to got a nice streak going, 2 in a row after an ugly losing streak on my Bulls blog. Finally with some Vooch threes last night. And then I believe they're hosting Detroit tomorrow night. So hoping for the Bulls, who we didn't talk about, get the crazy win against Milwaukee to hopefully potentially turn the season around. They've won 4 out of the last 5, so I'm hoping that's not fool's gold, and they're starting to turn things around for my Bulls there. But, yeah, we'll be back, it sounds like, tomorrow for some Big Ten action, Big Ten Bulls and other Bulls, I'm sure, and then, yeah, see what we've got going on for the big games this weekend, my friend.
Yeah, I have a show tomorrow, my time at 10 a.m. with Brady Tinker. I think we're going to go live. We're going to go with the Sportsbook Confessions, me and Brady. There, I'll reach out to you. We'll do a Big Ten preview for the weekend. Might have you also talk. We'll break down after that. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bowl games tomorrow. So we can go into that. And then tomorrow is Friday. On Saturday, New Year's Eve, maybe you and I can sneak on. There's 4 bowl games. Obviously, the big 2. There's Iowa and Kentucky at 12 o'clock, which obviously we'll talk about tomorrow. And the big one, Kansas State and Alabama, because both Bryce Young and Willie Anderson both said they were going to play. Once they did, that line is shot to 7. There is a few 6.5 still out there with a 56. And then obviously TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia there. So for me, nice bounce back for the ECSI VIPs, 3-0 last night. We got 2 overs. We talked about the Missouri and the Kentucky game, and we smelt out the Mercer-Stanford game. We got over on that one. Last couple of minutes, thank God. These games, the Missouri-Kentucky was pacing the whole time. We got there without a sweat. This Mercer-Stanford game, holy, thank God. When you're down 15, you're not going to get the last 2-minute fouls. They cut it to 9 where we could get the back and forth fouls. So we got over there. So we got and then the Flames last night, 3-2 winners. So we go from an 0-4 Tuesday to start the week. We took Monday off to then 3-0 last night. So we're down a unit there. We'll have a full slate of alerts coming out there. Tomorrow, you and I will have a Big Ten preview. 2:30, Dan Newbert, the Philly special. We'll be talking Eagles. We'll obviously have the outcome of the Cowboys game in hand to see what's going on there. If it's still Minshew time, obviously, he wants to get that one win and out. There, he wants to break down the Rose Bowl. I guess a pretty good Rose Bowl game, huh? Let's just end with this. Give me a little sneak peek on the Rose Bowl, because I've been on one side the whole time. I thought it was the Utah side. Penn State scares the shit out of me.
I mean, yeah, that's another one. I mean, you would think that those two teams are motivated for a Rose Bowl. I mean, if it was Ohio State in that spot, you would say, oh, do they really care about this Rose Bowl? Which sounds silly. I love the Rose Bowl. It's one of my favorite events of the year there. I'm trying to pull it up here. But, no, I mean, if you're giving me a motivated Penn State team, then, Utah's offense scares me a little bit. But I think this Penn State team. Maybe I'm leaning to me being a homer for the Big Ten, but I'll lean towards the Penn State side a little bit there. I like you said, that's a good one. That's kind of marinated for a bit. That maybe early you thought about Utah, and if you're thinking either way, I'm not gonna fault you for thinking Utah or Penn State, but. I assume Penn State will be able to score with them as opposed to it being a low-scoring, typical ugly Big Ten game or something like that. I could see it being, a nice high-scoring affair there for the Rose Bowl. So maybe I'll have some more firm thoughts there tomorrow for that one. But I'll give you kind of a slight lean towards me being a homer for Penn State as of right now.
And you got a hats off to Penn State because their season was dictated with obviously the Ohio State and Michigan loss. So the best case scenario was exactly what happened. Both Michigan and Ohio State got into the big dance. So that allowed Penn State to tiptoe. And Utah, a little salty. They had an opportunity to be spoiler. They had an opportunity to win out, to maybe be a talk of, do they deserve to get in? They had a couple tough losses. So I don't know, is Penn State happy to be there and Utah is salty? Was it last year, Utah and Ohio State?
I honestly don't remember. It sounds about right. I know, unless it was 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago would have been 2020. So maybe it was last year then.
Wasn't it like Utah got up by a bazillion and Ohio State came roaring back, and it was one of the better bowl games? If I'm not, again, don't quote me on it. I think that was it, though.
That sounds right. I don't remember firmly, but I'm trying to pull it up if I can now. But that does sound right. Let's see. I'll get to it in 2 seconds here. 48-45, Ohio State won. You are absolutely correct. Yep.
Utah got up by a million, and second half, Ohio State just came all the way back and said, not so fast, not so fast.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then the year before that, it was one of the CFPs, and then before that, there's been some, the last 5 or 6 Rose Bowls have been awesome. Oregon, Wisconsin, 28-27, Ohio State, Washington, 28-23. Another CFP, but it was 54-48, and then the classic USC Penn State 52-49. I remember that one, the USC win there. So the last handful have been good. Whenever it's your team that's happy to be there, but probably shouldn't be there up against Ohio State or someone like that, or USC back in the day. I know Illinois, their best season they've had up until this year was steamrolled by that USC team that didn't quite make the BCS, and then won by about 30 against the Illinois team. So I'm glad that we're getting a good matchup hopefully here this weekend.
I can't wait. I'm so glad that you came back. Meaning, had a few days off, got through the holidays. We'll end strong with today's show, tomorrow's show, and I think we'll throw everyone a New Year's Eve last show of 2022 as we get ready for 2023. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Have some fun out there. Plenty of action. Bowl games, college hoops, NBA, NHL. Just sprinkle a little something on a few to scratch an itch or two. And we'll catch you back early tomorrow morning. You take care.